Hi. Today, let's talk about what is no longer required. So, there's a point that's often only recognised in retrospect, when the system stops demanding the same level of effort it once believed was necessary just to remain stable. Nothing external may have changed. Responsibilities are still there. Expectations are still there. But internally, something loosens. The constant sense of needing to hold everything together, to anticipate, to monitor, to stay ahead of what might go wrong begins to soften. What once felt essential begins to feel optional. Most people interpret this as becoming calmer, or sometimes as not trying as hard. But what's actually happening is more precise. The system has stopped requiring forms of effort that were never structurally necessary. They were necessary only to maintain a narrative of control. When that narrative loses urgency, then the behaviours that supported it quietly fall away. We're conditioned to equate effort with responsibility. If we're not actively managing, anticipating, or monitoring, it can feel like we're being careless. But much of what we experience as effort is driven by perceived necessity rather than actual requirement. Spinoza described this in terms of striving, the knatus, the striving. The mind generates effort based on what it believes is necessary to maintain its power of acting. When the mind believes constant vigilance is required, it produces strain. When that perception changes, the strain decreases, not because the world has become easier, but because the sense of necessity has shifted. So, from a neuroscience perspective, the brain is constantly predicting what requires attention. So when certain outcomes are no longer treated as threats, regulatory systems reduce their level of activation. The experience of effort decreases, not because the brain is disengaging, but because it's no longer maintaining predictions that aren't needed. The reduction in monitoring often feels like relief, but structurally it's efficiency. You can notice this in small ways. The need to rehearse conversations fades. The constant checking of whether you're doing things correctly becomes less compelling. The sense that you must anticipate every possible outcome begins to soften. None of this happens because you decide to stop. It happens because the system no longer treats these behaviours as necessary for coherence.